This podcast is brought to you by the following sponsors. If you would like to sponsor the show, you can contact us at this email right here. Lower thirds emails. It's neveragainstudio@gmail.com. Our first sponsor, these guys have been with us for forever. They've been on the show multiple times, and it's Finishers MMA, 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. They are located at 3761 Nicholas Street in Easton, PA. They are Lehigh Valley's home of 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. You cannot get any more elite instructors than the two of these guys over at 10th Planet Bethlehem.
Learn to choke people out.
I know.
It will save your life one day. And it's also good to know because it gets you in shape, which is good. I clearly don't go there, but I'm completely out of shape.
I'm trying to make my way there more. I've gone to, I think, 3 classes at this point. Everyone I've gone to, I thoroughly have enjoyed. Went underneath Zach. I think I went for a class with JM. That was my first one. And I'm trying to think of the third one I was at. Renee, who's over there. All of their teachers teach different style or differently, but I like the differences in each of them. They all have like their own little specialty. They also have kickboxing over there, which I have not taken yet, but their kickboxer instructor is an elite kickboxer. Like, they are not messing around over there at that school.
They breed killers over there.
They are definitely breeding killers. They have Grace Gundrum, who is undefeated. She has Vice articles written on by her. She's on UFC Fight Pass promos. Yeah. They got John Thor Blank over at the school. He's opening up 10th Planet Allentown, which is nuts because I think they have 3 to 4 schools open now. Yes. And they're going to be connecting the schools and going back and forth.
Just watch him. Go back to last CBI and watch him. He
destroys everybody.
They just nonchalantly throw out a name, and he destroyed every single person, and everybody didn't know how to react. It was beautiful. Those guys are awesome guys. They're great teachers. It's not one of those schools you're going to feel like, oh man, I don't know enough, and they're just going to be yelling at you and doing stuff. They're actually very nice dudes. They want to work with you. They want to make it so that you understand what's going on. And honestly, you do need some kind of stuff. Not saying you're looking to go out and fight or compete or you're trying to win trophies. It's strictly, everybody should know at least some form of self-defense, especially the way things are now. If something happens, at least know enough to get yourself safe and away.
He is the combat jiu-jitsu middleweight champion.
Yes.
And he finished everybody.
He's a killer.
I watched it on Fight Pass. It's nuts. These guys are in Bethlehem. Check them out. They offer kids classes, which is awesome. Their kids classes are growing. I'm trying to send over Jer's daughter is really getting into it. And what's awesome is they have the Finisher Sub-Only 10th. It's the 10th one they're doing. I've gone to a bunch of them, and that's over in Allentown at the Parkview Conference Center in Allentown. I don't know if you know where that is. It's a hotel.
Yes, they put on gun shows there.
Yep, and they open at 6, and the tickets are $40. It's the men's 185 pounds and the women's 105. I'm trying to get everybody to go that I know, because when you watch this live, it's totally different than watching it on TV. It's super intense.
And it changes the way you watch fighting, which was
definitely. That was the biggest thing I took from it.
When you understand what's happening, now when you watch UFC, I hate when I go to UFC fights and people are like, just get off the ground. What the hell are they hugging? Like, they have no idea what they're talking about. Go there, understand what they're doing, and the elite talent that these people have is ridiculous. And that place, the same place they put on boxing matches, they put on gun shows, they put on knife shows. It's a big place. It works out perfect when they put the ring in the middle of the room. You're super close to the ring no matter where you are.
And that is, again, November 16th, and it's Finisher Sub only. To wrap up the school, they have multiple schools. You can check them out at finishersmma.com. Finishers MMA on Instagram and 10th Planet Bethlehem on Instagram. They put up constant stuff on there. So if you need any information at all, you can follow those up. They are building confidence, discipline, and it's a way to meet new people. So that's Finishers MMA. Thankful for one of our longest sponsors. They've been messing with us since we were over in the Bethlehem store, so I appreciate that as well. Tayloredgewoodco Company. I always screw it up and say design, and it's not design. It's Tayloredgewood Company. We recently had him on the podcast. It's Mr. Drew Hoagland. He is the gentleman behind the tables that everybody always asks for. Who made this? He made this table, which is our main table, and then he made Jesse's desk.
Yes.
He came on, super talented guy.
Yep.
He does handmade and local crafting. Gorgeous custom furniture. He's getting his website built, and then on there he's also going to have cutting boards. And I talked to him for a while, and he's bringing a lot of stuff to the website, which I'm excited for, because if you're not getting the custom tables and you want to buy like single pieces of stuff or his merch, he's going to have the fall t-shirt line on there. He's going to have 2 different styles of cutting boards and 2 different sizes of cutting boards. And I believe he's going to be doing other things on there as well.
Is he doing the alternating cutting boards? You know
The
what I mean?
what?
The ones that are striped?
Yes, that's...
they're awesome.
Yeah.
If you have not seen these, and you can see them in the higher end websites when you go. You can go to stupid Bed Bath & Beyond and get a cheap one that'll probably break in fucking 1 month. But when you get it made by somebody that's professional like that, and he actually takes the time, and it's all hardwoods, and they do it, it's super awesome. It's easy to use. They're easy to clean. They're easy to season to get them ready to go. That's the way to go.
Drew was a major part of the beginning to this podcast and tying this room together. And I know he's done several people through the show, and all of them had nothing but massive amounts of respect. If you're looking for something custom, if you're looking for something that's original, if you're looking for something that's not garbage and isn't going to break, or like he said, like he'll go over to Lowe's and they just have like the like crappy farm tables that are just thrown there, and he'll leave his business card and get calls for it.
It's one of those things now because there's a lot of people that are paying money to get good tables. So now like Lowe's and Home Depot are trying to capitalize on it, being like, look at this rustic table. It's a piece of shit. So go to him. He makes serious, good quality stuff. What is he on Instagram?
It is Tayloredgewoodco.
If you go on there and you can check out some of the stuff he's done.
And that's also the Facebook.
Yeah, if you go on there and check out some of the stuff he's done, he's super, super talented. It's honest to goodness, like really quality stuff. Even the legs and stuff, like I said, he uses all local guys to do the metal stuff for him. Such a good dude. He's going to expand it. If you listen to the show, he wants to expand and kind of take over a lot of other stuff. So if he does that, he'll have even more control over the wood and everything like that. So
yeah, and one of the other things he was telling me about was with the website launch and everything on there with the apparel, the cutting board. You can get your quotes through him, I believe through the website, but for now you can hit up tayloredgewoodco@gmail.com, and this isn't kind of like a run-of-the-mill where you're just going to get, hey, all right, cool. Like he's got paperwork, like he's got it down. It's legit.
Yeah.
I was impressed with what he's doing. His wife helps him out with a lot of that stuff. So they're great people. It's a great company. Everything's done Lehigh Valley, would you say, or Pennsylvania?
He
is
says
what he's trying to do.
It's all within. I forget the mileage he gave, but it's all within this area. Is where he sources all of his wood and all of his equipment. So it's all local stuff. Support local. Big box stores suck. So
yeah, PA strong. It is tayloredgewoodco@gmail.com, Tayloredgewoodco on Facebook, and Tayloredgewoodco on Instagram. You can get all of your information to connect him from all 3 of those spots. I'm guessing the website is going to be tayloredgewoodco.com. It's not up yet. I know they're working on it. They said it will be here in September, so that stuff takes time. So I mean, we're still trying to get ours redone. It takes a while to get that stuff, but you can definitely reach out to him on there. If you have any problems, you can contact me directly, and I can get you over to
at
Drew.
all times of the night. You can call him. He's ready to go.
I thought I had his phone number on here as well, but I don't. So just contact him through the email and whatnot. But thanks again to Drew for sponsoring the show, and these tables are awesome.
Yeah.
Another guest we had on the show, and I want to bring him back, and he's become quite a good friend of mine. I got to check out his business over there, is Rips Auto Detail, and that's at 630 North Nelson Street in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Which is right off of Hanoverville Avenue.
There's a Popeyes
Hanover
out that
Avenue?
way.
Listen, I've been at that Popeyes a lot of times. Bro. There used to be a Popeyes, and right next door used to be a Philly Pretzel Factory, and it's also right next to the Planet Fitness, so you can work out, go get your pretzels, go get some Popeyes
While you're waiting to get your car done.
You make a day of it.
Appointment only. I was super impressed with his setup over there. If you're not familiar with Rip's Auto Detail, you can check out the podcast we did with him. It breaks down his whole story and how he got started and details the 15 years of experience he has in detailing cars. I mean, he does so much more than that.
Did you see the picture of, was it the Land Rover or the Range Rover? I forget which one it was. He took a picture side by side, and you couldn't tell what was the real light and what was the reflection of the light bouncing off like that. He redoes so much stuff. Even if you have, he does all different levels of work. So yeah, if you have a jacked up Mercedes that is super high end, yes, he can definitely do that. He can do the higher end ceramic coating, all that stuff that'll last a really long time. If you have a busted up car, something that's just like, okay, cool, it's an old Volkswagen that you're like, all right, man, this thing is still cool. I love it, which they are. They're until they die. They're awesome. But if the coat on it is, it's a little hazy or whatever, go to him. He will make it look better than it was when it came on the showroom floor. And like I said, you can pay starting low and just getting basic services all the way up until him removing the seats.
You can
the
go
actual
crazy.
Stuff. Yes.
Yeah, he goes over that in the podcast where
how meticulous it is. And then, like I said, if you go to all of his Instagram stuff and you check it out, you can see what I'm talking about. And he does he's a Volkswagen guy, so am I. He loves all that stuff. I don't know what it is about Volkswagens. I don't know if it's the paint they use or whatever, but you can make those things ridiculous. And he's great at it.
He offers paint correction, ceramic coating, interiors, and professional auto detail. Do not be afraid to contact him if you need basic services. He has a package for everyone, and he goes over that in the podcast where this isn't just a high-end thing that he does. Listen, you get his professional service if you're bringing in a Toyota Corolla.
Dude, you do not go to AutoZone and get an electric buffer with those shit ass socks and think, oh, look at me, I'm gonna use all that. It's not gonna work.
No,
trust me. It's the difference between going to a detailer and doing it yourself. It's night and day. Yourself, you stink at it. You don't do it. This is what he does his whole day.
It's his profession. It's what he is a pro at.
Please use him. He's a really honest, a good, nice guy. He is awesome. He knows his crap, and if you see his pictures, you'll understand what I'm talking about. You can have an awesome car. And
you can find the podcast we did on the YouTube channel. So or on iTunes, if you just find,
we're on everything.
Yeah, if you find the platform we're on and look up Rip's Auto Detail,
like ceramic coating is something you should not try yourself. I've seen the videos on YouTube that say this is so easy, and I've seen the horrific videos on YouTube of I thought I could just go and do this. If you screw it up, it looks like crap.
Yeah.
And then you need someone to professionally come and take it off. You need somebody that knows what they're doing, and once they put it on, ceramic coats, the dirt literally flies off.
You can check him out at Rip's Auto Detail, and you can get a hold of him there through Messenger, or you can call him directly at 484-553-1366. His name is Mark. Or just ask for Rip, and you can find out how he got that nickname.
You don't want to ask
on our podcast with him. I'm excited to have him back on, and his Facebook is Rip's Auto Detail as well. It's worth following all that. He gets some cool cars in there, and to see what that guy actually does with his hands. And what he does to those vehicles is super impressive. So we're excited to have him on as a sponsor. He was actually one of the first people since we got back to doing the video and everything. And he was like, dude, I want to be a part of this. So I thank him greatly. And once again, it's Rip's Auto Detail on all social media platforms. And his website's coming soon as well. So check out the podcast for further info, or hit him up directly if you're looking for something with your car or truck or plane, I believe, or boat.
Yes, boat is very difficult, but yes, he has done boats.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of thing.
He's not intimidated to take on any project. We have All Valley Rooter and Plumbing. He is a personal friend of mine that I grew up with, Jared LaBarba, and he stopped by and asked me about sponsoring the show, and we got together, and he told me how he got started and how he grew this business, and I'm super impressed by what he actually did. If you're looking for a plumber in the Lehigh Valley, I specifically want to start trying to push him in the Nazareth area. I stand behind this man's work, and I think that we can help him get some more business in Nazareth. So if you're in the Nazareth area and you're looking for a new plumber or looking for a plumber in general to help you out with, he offers faucet repair, sub pump repair, sink installation, pipe installation, toilet repair, any type of leak at all, and it's a 24-hour service, 365 days a year. So, you have a property that you own. How important is it to have or know a plumber?
I have two, and I've called plumbers on both of them. So let me explain how important it is to have a plumber. No, I was forced. One time, I was forced to use one of the big chains that you see all the crap about. They're not from here. They were from Allentown. So when I called them, they basically told me if we have to come out at this time, you were looking at a fee of, it was like $200 just for them to get there. And then once I got there, they wanted to start replacing all of the stuff that didn't need to be done. And then after, I had to do it because I was attached to someone else and they were complaining and whatever. So I paid a whole bunch of money, and then I actually had someone who was another plumber, and I explained to them all the work that was done, and they laughed and said they just took me for $1,000 extra what they shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
So it is totally worth it to have someone who's local and who isn't going to go and charge you stupid fees just to show up. I got yelled at by my last one, and I kicked him out of my house. He yelled because apparently I don't have something that I was supposed to have, and I explained to him that I bought the house like this. I didn't know any of this stuff. I'm not a plumber. He started basically talking shit, so he was asked not so politely to leave my property, and I've never used that company again. So I would definitely say go to a local dude. It's always worth it to use local because you know he's around, and he's not going to screw you over. He lives here. You know what I mean? Those guys aren't from here. They can do whatever they want. You'll never see him again.
No, I grew up with him. If any of you know...
He's a good dude.
He is. If any of you are looking for someone, for a new plumber in the area, his work is top-notch. And
once again, don't think you can do this shit yourself. I've seen people use Home Depot, like gator locks and stupid stuff that you do there, and this shit is garbage. Don't use garbage. Only use quality stuff, and he has quality stuff. Don't use, oh, look, I'm just going to put this sink. It's on sale, and I'll use these crappy, look, it comes in a package. It's everything I need. Don't do that. Use somebody that knows what they're doing, please.
The other major thing that he does is they charge by the job, not the hour.
Yeah, perfect.
And all services come with a 1-year warranty and a 1-year guarantee.
Perfect.
And they have a goal. That is their motto for their business, and it is they work quickly, quietly, and cleanly.
Yeah.
So anyone from Nazareth area or Lehigh Valley area that's watching this and you need a new plumber, if you're a landlord and you need somebody that's going to be reliable and show up on time, it's a 24-hour service. We're putting our stamp on what he does, and I'm really going to start trying to push work because I like that he's helping us out, and I'd like to help him out. And it is allvalleyrouterandplumbing.net is the website, and it has an abundance of information on there. It goes over everything that they do. It covers the warranties. It breaks down all the services individually. They have everything on there that you could possibly need or put you at rest with your plumbing need. So if you're looking for a new plumber, if you have any sort of plumbing issues, hit me up or hit them up directly, and that's All Valley Router and Plumbing. If you Google it, it immediately comes up, and if you have any questions on how to get a hold of them, you can reach out to me, and their phone number and all of their information will be in the descriptions for the podcast, and it'll also be on this lower third here, so you can get a hold of them through email or direct phone number. But I want to thank Jared again for sponsoring the show. show. And like I said before, we're definitely putting our stamp of approval on all of these sponsors. And if you have any questions on any of them, or you would like to have further information on them, you can contact me directly, or you can look for any of them that were on the podcast. So thank you again to our sponsors, and enjoy the show. This is, I believe, podcast 13. I've been wrong. I've been saying the wrong numbers for the past 8, because Mitch was 12, so this is Never Again Radio episode number 13 on today's Friday, right?
Yeah.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
Is it Friday the 13th?
No, but it is the 13th episode we're doing on a Friday.
And I am going to see Friday the 13th tonight.
We're good?
Yep.
Welcome, Sean Beard.
Hey.
Bit of a setup, but you now see what's behind doing this.
Yeah. I got here.
Thank you for the drive in.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Pun intended.
You are attending the Mahoney Drive-In?
Yeah, for Camp Blood 4.
Yeah.
I think, no, maybe 5. What's the V?
5.
Yeah, okay. You guys grew up with Rocky, I can tell.
It's the only way I remember it. Sure as hell wasn't from high school.
Yeah. I missed that. So I don't know my Roman numerals.
I met you through Kyle Cummings, who is one of my dearest and closest friends.
He's
since
a beautiful
I was
man.
12 or 13, I knew Kyle.
Yeah.
And he's got some pretty cool hobbies. And then the last time I hung out with him, he's like, dude, you gotta have this fucking guy on the show. He's all out of breath, how he always is. He's always out of breath. Pay attention. Eats way too much mayonnaise. So he's telling me about you, and he's just like, dude, you gotta have this guy on. He's like the biggest Beavis and Butt-Head collector. Like, how did you even find out, before we even get into any of that, how did you even find out about the Mahoney Drive-In and that kind of stuff, just in like the VHS realm?
James Mills, he kind of works there. He's the dude that brings all the like cool props and stuff and decorates. There's a Critters group I've been in for years.
He also told me to ask you about Critters. I didn't know you were obsessed with Critters. And
I'm very obsessed
have a
with
Critters podcast.
Yeah, I do have a Critters podcast.
Like he told me. I was just like, I'm like all these. I'm like, oh my god, so much awesome stuff to talk about.
Yeah, it's like I can't make fun of podcasts anymore because I made the dumbest.
No, I wouldn't say it's the dumbest. I can point you out to other ones in the area that are dumber than that.
Oh yeah, there's one that record the same place they do Tom's the Tank Engine.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, super exciting.
Yeah.
No, it's not. They just try to steal our premise and do stuff.
And they just Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yeah, no, they're a bunch of douchebags. They try to steal what we do.
Well.
Yeah, they're horrible people.
Bunch of thieves.
Wish.
That's okay. Don't worry.
So the drive-in.
He avoids it. He doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to rock the boat. He doesn't want to rock the boat.
We're good.
That we know them, and they were on this show.
Yeah.
They came here a bunch of times, and now magically they do a podcast that's very similar to what we do, and even use some of our guests.
But it's only about Thomas the Tank Engine?
Yes. It's no one, you'll never see their show because it's on PBS.
Oh, it's actually like a local public broadcast thing?
So basically you could pay, anybody could go on there and have their own show on there.
That's cool. I want to do that.
You should go on there and probably bump them out of their spot.
That was cool growing up with TV like that. Sometimes like you'd actually see some neat stuff.
Tom Green started that way.
Yeah, of course. We didn't really see it. Did you? I mean, I was in Canada. Exactly.
No.
So, yeah. I remember we got Global, being so close to Buffalo, though. That probably doesn't mean anything to you. There was a channel called Global.
I just pictured
and
chicken
it was,
wings.
It was more or less it was more or less the PBS of Canada. And, my small town that was I grew up outside of got that channel. And, you got a lot of Canadian shows and whatnot.
Where'd you grow up at?
I grew up in Silver Springs, New York, but I guess like the school district was Warsaw, New York. But it's in the middle of nowhere, in between Buffalo and Rochester by a little over an hour.
Yeah, my wife's side of the family all grew up. Well, not all of them, but most of them in Watertown, New York.
Okay,
which is right by Canada.
Yeah, I
Rochester. Now they still.
Yeah, it's closer to Rochester or something.
They still
like
live
that,
in Rochester. Yeah.
Yeah, this is actually the first time I've ever left home, so I'm not too. I don't know. I'm kidding.
That's okay.
I don't venture too far. Even you're like Watertown. It's like, I think I saw a band was coming there once. And
sure.
Didn't go. One of those things.
I go into Rochester a couple times a year.
Yeah.
There. Yeah, because her family they work for Kodak.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's Kodak.
Yeah.
The city of Rochester is Kodak.
Yeah.
Everything is Kodak. All the buildings are
And
Kodak.
and Genesee beer.
And Genesee beer. Yeah, Genesee cream ale.
Do you like Jenny Cream Ale?
I'm not really much of a drinker. So I don't really have like a favorite beer. I don't like all that craft stuff though. I don't know what that's all about. These dudes like hand you a beer and they're like, "Here, it tastes good."
I never really liked a lot of it. I like the wheat stuff.
Yeah.
But that just because it tastes like stuff that I like. But
Yeah.
most of the time I like those natural lights and
Yeah.
like Coors Light.
Like this girl took me on a date once, and they had like these little samplers on
Flights.
a piece of wood.
Flights.
Yeah, and I just took it and I drank the whole thing, and she's like, "You're supposed to like sip it and share it and stuff." I'm
I
like,
mean,
"Oh, I thought it was like a shot of beer."
I
you know?
can drink
No
a lot
idea.
of that stuff, and like my father-in-law makes his own beer, so he makes a lot of different like IPAs and stuff.
Yeah.
So I can tell the
The
difference
hippas.
between all that stuff. But when you go to most of those places, yeah, the people are extremely fucking douchey. And
Yeah. I don't know. It's beer connoisseur.
I don't know that
type
shit.
stuff.
I just
Yeah.
like it if it tastes good and I like it.
Yeah, I guess I'd rather just like have the worst beer you could give me.
Jenny Cream Ale.
Yeah,
No, Jenny Cream
maybe that is. Yeah, maybe
not.
it is in
It's
my
not.
blood because I grew up near there.
No, I don't think Jenny Cream Ale is that
Now
bad.
be like Coors Light.
No, I think Coors
Yes.
Light is better than PBR.
I like
No
Heineken
way.
a bit. It's
You're
got
out of your
that
mind.
skunky
PBR
like.
PBR came in first place.
PBR
I've
sucks.
never had a PBR.
Making like PBR coffee. It's a bunch of sellouts.
Really? That's
Yeah.
kind of funny. Does it get you drunk?
I wouldn't try it. I don't like PBR.
I've never had it. Yeah.
How did you hook up with the guy from the movie theater? Not actually hook up with, but how did you start talking?
Well, the first time we kissed,
It was behind the. Was in
it
the
was
back
behind-
of his
Okay.
Chevy.
it was behind the concession stand
And
next to the
play
burning barrel.
Video. Play the video.
No, James and I are in the Critters group. We've known each other for years. I remember him inviting me to when they did Critters years ago, and I don't know. I don't think I realized how close it was,
Yeah.
honestly. And last year they did the Gremlins thing, and Gremlins was probably my first favorite thing.
That's
ever.
when they got the actor in as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Billy Peltzer there.
Because
That's totally not his
sometimes
name.
I see like I started following them and kind of found out through Kyle.
Yeah.
And then like I see like they kind of try and bring some of the actors in.
Yeah, that was cool. I mean, the way James decorated it is what made it. You walked into the concession stand and like the 4-year-old in me, like, I just wanted to drop them. It was Gremlins everywhere. James brought a prop from Critters though, the run over one from part 2. So that was quite an awesome day. I mean, I'm in a concession stand decorated like the bar scene from the first Gremlins, and then he's got 2 props from my favorite Critters too. So yeah, that was awesome. And I grew up with 2 drive-ins near me, so
Yeah.
I've always gone to the drive-in and stuff. But they actually play stuff that
What do we have here? We have the Mahoney and then Becky's.
Yeah, I've never been to any of them.
No.
I've never been to a drive-in.
You've never been to a drive-in? No, it's nice. Well, especially the one near you because it's the old reels and it's are you a horror guy.
Well, the one that's good, no.
Oh,
But the guy
okay,
that the
okay.
one that the Becky's driving, they always have like, it's actually not bad. I was gonna take my kids, but it's like they have decent double features.
Okay.
And so 2 movies, and I was like, I've never had that. I always just paid shit tons of money to go to a theater. And
Yeah.
disappointed.
It's almost always a double feature. Yeah, the one near me. I mean, but the one near me, I mean, this year they played Toy Story 4 and Aladdin since the beginning of the season. It's still going every night, but they have 2 screens, so they pretty much dedicate one to the same 2
Yeah.
movies all summer. If
Well, it's
they
'cause
get
those
those
are-
types of blockbusters,
those,
like
those are high money.
exactly.
That's
Like
why.
I remember when Titanic came out, that was
Yep.
it was a small town theater, 1-screen theater. They played Titanic for 5 months straight. So there's all these other movies coming out that you're hoping to
They're like,
see.
nope.
No, you don't get to see
Nope.
them. You have to go
Titanic.
30 minutes away to a theater that
Yeah.
actually has multiple screens.
Well, it's a weird business because if you talk to like the movie theater people too, it costs them a shit ton of money to bring those movies to their theater.
Yeah.
They have to recoup all that. So
Yeah,
that's
I
why,
get
like,
it. It's just, like the video
because
rental days.
it'd be awesome to have like a small little theater and get like really cool movies, but
Sure.
that's why they always have old shit because no one wants to.
Well, I
have
think
it.
that's what's brilliant about the Mahoning is that they're playing up. I don't want to like downplay it by calling it a gimmick, but they're playing it up. We have 35 millimeter reels.
Yeah.
We're playing movies that more or less it's the niche market of nerds who like gore movies
Yeah.
and slasher movies, but then they have I don't know, the Wizard of Oz and all that
Yeah.
stuff too, which is just any film lover would be like, I mean, that original reel must be from what, the 30s?
Yeah,
so,
like I mean,
that's incredible.
I was gonna see like how hard it is for them to actually get the original reels and all that.
I think they are just in contact with Paramount and stuff.
Yeah,
and all that. And now that they've made a stand that they're taking serious, I don't think it is much of a problem for them. And then the weird movies are from private collectors.
But I would have to assume you can if they can have access to. I'm sure there's multiple masters. I would assume.
Yeah.
So if they're ripping off of those, you can only rip so many copies.
Well, I think it's the originals.
Yeah.
That were sent to all the different theaters around back when the movie was in.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think? I don't know. Because I thought, like even when you do like say you do a record or something, they still have the, you have the plates.
Yeah, you have the plates.
They can always go and redo it. That's why I thought how the movies were. But
I think I don't think they're like I mean, I don't really know. I can't speak
for them. That would be scary as shit if you send it to some fucking theater and some dude loses.
That is a hell of a risk, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, isn't that what they always did?
Yeah. Yeah. So I really don't know.
I don't know.
Me neither. But then you see like the original prints go on eBay for hundreds, of some movies and stuff.
Yeah.
So
I've been following them on social media since Kyle turned me on to them. They're doing some really cool stuff.
yeah, they really do. They're awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I go 5-6 hours out of my way.
Yeah, I have a bunch of friends. Dave from Bushkill, he used to call into the other show. He goes quite a bit with his girlfriend, and they do like a lot of themed nights and stuff. And like I didn't realize when I was talking to Kyle, and I was like, "Well, what are you guys doing?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're camping out here Friday night."
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. And then I was like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "We camp out," and then he's like, "We watch the summer blood camp movies," and he's just like, but I know him, so he's like, I'm overboard. So he's like, I have a generator and fans running and like 3 tents, and he's like,
there's kind of like a community vibe, which I mean, I have never really been a part of things like that. So especially last time with VHS Fest, that was really
how was that?
That was really nice. I mean, I met so many people that time. The first few times I went, I just kind of met the people who more or less work there and whatnot. And that's all cool and stuff. But the VHS Fest had a real community vibe. I think it's everyone's there for the same reason. But I mean, they always are. But I guess they're trading tapes. They have their booths. They're selling stuff. There's like more reason for everyone to go up and talk to each other and stuff. So I mean, you're like watching a movie with 15 people at once and whatnot.
And everybody I met through Kyle that's like in that VHS community is like, they're really cool people.
Yeah. Like, they're all a bunch of dorks that like dress like they're tough like me.
But that's when he was telling me about you, and he's just like, no man, he's like, cool. And if Kyle puts a stamp on somebody, it's like, I know that there's a common thread of like, hey, he fucks around, you know what I mean? Like so, and then he was telling me just different stories about you. So like, when did you get into even, because there's so many layers to this, but like the first thing you started doing when you started becoming known publicly is when you started your noise band, or were you doing the Beavis and Butt-Head stuff way before that?
I mean, I got into Beavis and Butt-Head in 93 when I was 5. I started collecting in 94, so I was really little, but of course it's like a collection you have as a kid.
And you kept it.
Yeah.
Which is what most people regret that they didn't do.
Yeah. It wasn't the most massive collection by any means, though,
but
either.
You still kept it.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. As far as the noise project and stuff, that I started that in 2005. That became, known like around 2012.
And what is noise if someone who's listening doesn't understand what that is?
I guess I hate that question. I should totally have an answer for it by now.
But like, I know what it is, but I don't know how to tell people.
It's not music. Like, there's no rhythm. There's almost nothing to latch onto except if there's like vocal patterns. It's frequencies, sound textures, and usually, I mean, there's levels of it. You could have the dude that makes ambient, nice sounding stuff. Technically, it's kind of noise, and then the harsh, layers of fuzz and distortion and all that. I think what I did was probably more like, performance art or something really lame like that.
Have you always been into music?
Yeah. But like, oddly, the way I got into music was like comedy albums.
Yeah.
And then rap, because like I got like my first album I bought was Doggy Style, in 1993. I was way too young to be into the stuff I was, really.
That was a huge album.
Yeah. I had it on tape. I remember in like third grade, we had to like write lyrics to a song we liked, and I knew to like take out fuck and shit, but I still put in like, I got a pocket full of rubbers, and my homeboys do too. But I had no idea what that meant.
Did you get pulled aside for that?
No, I think that was one of the few times in my life where the teacher was like, I have a feeling this kid has no idea what the fuck he just did type thing, But yeah, I think I got into rap after that because gangster rap, early 90s, they had a lot of skits in between songs, remember?
Yep.
So going from comedy albums to that.
I feel like Eminem was the last person to kind of keep that in albums.
Yeah. I kind of fell off rap once. Early 2000s rap is when I kind of fell off. Nelly and I like DMX for a minute. It just, it's kind of like half ironic.
It's fun to yell.
Yeah, he's funny.
Yeah.
But as far as like serious lyricists and stuff, like the late 80s or early 90s, that was amazing and funny. It was like real serious tone, but then it was very tongue-in-cheek at times, and I loved that stuff. So I guess my introduction to music was through comedy first. So
what comedy albums were you listening to?
Oh gosh, I mean the Cheech and Chongs and the Red Fox, and then stuff that was like actually happening when I was into it would be the Adam Sandler ones and stuff.
That was huge when Adam Sandler was doing that.
People would listen to those albums over and over again.
Yeah.
And you knew what they were going to say. People would just repeat exactly what they were doing.
Yeah.
Like when Adam Sandler came out with his comedy album, that was the first time where like people, like we'd go for a cruise or be driving around after school and you would listen to Adam Sandler's comedy album.
Yeah, instead of music.
Yeah, and I think the second time that came through was like when Dane Cook, that whole era, when they were putting out comedy albums.
I remember that kind of. I wasn't too into it, but...
But with the Adam Sandler album, like I remember like his songs and like that, like because there was like Eddie Murphy, Raw, and all that stuff, and then like the Kinnison and Bill Cosby, and then I feel like there wasn't a lot in between, and then it was.
Yeah, Kinnison was the first album I heard. It was the first comedy album I ever heard from the beginning because my brother got it from somebody. My mom saw it and said, I don't think you should listen to this. And he goes, nah, it's all right. And he's, 5 years older
Isn't
than
it
me?
crazy when parents used to be able to control what is out there?
So
like they'd hide a record. You can't do any of that shit now.
No, but I remember she said, well, we're going to listen to it together. I'm assuming making him feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I heard it also. So I was like, I was 5 years younger than he was. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kinnison was the best. He was amazing.
So you were into... like Red Fox and those comedy albums and whatnot?
Yeah, but probably the Sandler resonated the hardest at the time because, I mean, being that age and that was a big thing. The 90s, I think it's a big reason why I love Beavis and Butt-Head too, is I love, probably one of my favorite subjects to talk about is just censorship in the 90s.
Yeah.
Because cartoons and music really legitimately scared people. I know a few years prior you have the people spinning the records backwards, but it's so laughable and stuff. But then in the 90s you'd have them like for Beavis and Bud, the kid who burnt his trailer down, or then Columbine, something so tragic, and then they blame it on that, you know. Whereas in the 80s, it's just like one kid commits suicide, and they're like, he listened to an album, And,
they still kind of do that. The last shooting, they blamed.
They're trying to again. It's like it pissed me off back then, but now it pisses me off worse because it's like we've had 20 years of people being like, oh yeah, we were really stupid for thinking that, and then it's been just long enough to where people forget that they learned something. And now they're like, oh yeah, it's the damn video games again.
Well, I think I think it has to do with people confuse. They don't understand the lines. Like, so I'll play like we were playing. What's the cowboy game that came out first?
Red Dead Redemption.
So Red Dead. So I started playing so much Red Dead.
Yeah.
That I had to have a lever action fucking rifle. Because I have guns, so I'm I never had one.
I do agree that some people shouldn't play video games.
But here's the difference. I had to get a rifle. I didn't go and get a rifle and think I could go outside and just shoot random people and steal their shit.
You almost got that as like a collector, as a souvenir.
So it was like, cool, it reminds me of this game.
Right,
but
absolutely.
They confuse those lines, and they're like, well, that's a perfect example. I bought a crossbow because I was watching when Walking Dead first came out. And I'm like, I have to get one because that looks fucking great. I didn't go and start shooting people with it.
Yeah.
But they don't know the line. They just go, "We'll see."
But deep down, didn't you want to?
Oh no.
I bought a flashlight from watching porn.
There
Wow.
you go.
I see. I never even did that. You
Yeah.
guys are just like impressionable or something.
No.
I would just wanted to fuck a flashlight.
Just out of things for battery powers.
So where did it go from after listening to the comedy albums that you wanted to start even recording your music? Because you just don't jump into like, hey, I got a keyboard and I'm going to record.
No, I guess,
and especially back then, because what year was it? I mean, did you have access to a bunch of recording stuff?
No, when I started like making music would probably be around 99, 2000. My buddies, I was being homeschooled because of a bunch of crap that happened. I was kind of a outcast in a small town type kid, you know.
Yeah.
You're playing
And,
too many video games.
No,
Did they used to
actually,
throw-
no.
did they
Probably
throw-
not enough.
Did they throw rocks at you?
Yeah, it's like, metaphorically maybe.
Yeah. My cousin got hit in the eye with a rock at the bus stop.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow, but who did that to him?
Just another kid in the neighborhood threw a rock and hit her right in the eye.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Kids are awesome.
Yeah. Being a kid is. Yeah, it's like it sucks to do it, but
Did
you
you
look
like
back on it.
Did you like homeschooling better?
I'm an only child. I'm used to being isolated.
Yeah.
So yes, in a sense, my parents worked the whole day, so I had the house to myself throughout the whole day and stuff.
Yeah.
You'd wake up and nobody was there, and I found the answer keys, so I didn't learn anything for years. And I would just like fill in the answers and then like spank my monkey for like 5 hours
Yeah, you
straight.
should've got a
Probably.
flashlight.
No, I think back then I got that Fruity Loops program, and that's when I started kind of.
I forgot about Fruity Loops.
Yeah, because I joined a band, and they were like a new metal cover band,
Yeah.
like Linkin Park, Disturbed, all those terrible songs. And I would do like the screaming parts, and my buddy, he was the main singer dude. He could like sing or whatever.
Can you play instruments?
Yeah, I could play guitar and drums and all
Yeah.
that. Yeah, but I joined that band, and I got a sampler because I don't know if you guys were really familiar during that era, but every band had like a 6-member who just had a sampler.
Yeah.
And I what am I, like 13, 14 in this story or something? So that's what I like begged my parents for Christmas. They got me a used one, and I had no idea what a sampler was. I just got it.
You just think
And,
automatically, well, I'm going to make those sounds that they do.
I might not have even like realized that it made sounds.
Yeah.
I don't know. I had to be in this band, so I got the sampler. So then I get it. And
What was the name of the band?
Forever One's Past.
Yes. You should make T-shirts.
And we did.
No, but you should make them now.
We wore them when we'd play.
What was on the design?
Dude, I don't remember. I mean, I can picture it, but it was just it looked like a Sunoco sign logo or something. It was terrible. So yeah, then I started making noises so that I could put them over Godsmack songs and shit. And of course, I didn't like doing that because that music sucks. So then I got on Fruity Loops and started making noises and stuff. And then through doing that, I kind of discovered there that there is a genre, of music called noise, where people are just pretty much making sound effects, And so then by 2005, I called the Waves Crashing Piano Chords, and I kind of had the general idea in my head and started off kind of like trying hard to make interesting noise and stuff, and it was bunk. And but I would show up to gigs I wasn't on, was the thing. Like, that was pretty much what started it. I would just show up to gigs I wasn't on, plug in, make a bunch of noise, go out and attack people screaming and stuff.
Wait, so you would go to shows that you
All
were...
right, we skipped ahead there.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
So you would go to shows...
Where do we start?
So you would go to shows that, like, hey, there's a local show, there's 3 bands playing, and then you would show up there, and you'd be like, hey, what's up? And you would just plug your shit in.
Yeah, like when the one band's tearing down, that's when I just kind of like come in and pretty much look like I might be a sound guy.
Yeah.
And
now, did you know the people in the band, or
no?
Was
I never
it, like, locally?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to go like an hour up to Rochester for it, so I didn't know anybody in the scene or whatnot.
Yeah, so no one knew you at all, and then you would just plug in,
right,
and start doing the noise. And then what would you do once you started playing the music?
Back then, I just go out and kind of like spit in people's faces and slap them around, and I didn't even think I don't even know if I had set lyrics back then. Back then, it was like.
Where did the idea come from to attack the crowd?
And how many times do you get laid the fuck out?
Oh, I've gotten beat up really bad.
A lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would assume that would be
no doubt.
You didn't make any friends there.
Like
Well, I think eventually you made friends.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. But yeah, of course, initially the first few years it was, but those were the best shows because those reactions were just so legit. Like people were really upset. There's a video online in 2008 where I'm crashing a show. And a dude pushes me
because that's
off
essentially
the stage.
what it would be is you're crashing shows.
Yeah. And he pushes me off the stage, and my kneecap went to the back of my leg, and I was bedridden for 6 months. And in the video, the dude's just like reaming into me, like calling me a fucking fat faggot and all this stuff.
Meanwhile, you have a broken leg.
Yeah. It was pretty good. So that's how that whole thing started. It was just. I don't know. Was there a question in there?
Yeah, it's interesting to me that you even started that, had the idea of that, and most people probably halfway to that, like a half hour into that drive, would probably be like,
reality would kick in.
I'm not doing this. But the fact that you drove all the way there, parked, and committed to it, that's so awesome.
Yeah, I did that. I did that for years, and then in end of 2011 or 2012, I moved up to Rochester.
But at that time, were you being known to do it? If you're doing it for years. So were you being actually booked at this point, or were you still just crashing shows?
No, I was not being booked at this point. No, it got to the point where I was just doing anywhere. I did.
Did people know you that when they would see you and then there'd be like a little buzz, like, there he is, he's just going to plug in?
Around the end of 2012, it got to that point.
Yeah.
I'm more or less banned from every like real venue in Buffalo and Rochester.
How long did it take to get banned? One show?
Oh, well, because I more or less played every venue that wasn't like a big fucking cathedral.
Yeah.
I think that was a bucket list. It's like, well, I haven't played here, so when's a show happening? And then, it got to the point where I couldn't even go to a show at shows because people were afraid I was going to do it. Yeah. I don't know. I was young.
Yeah. No,
I retired it 4 months ago. The whole thing.
So you were doing it up until 4 months ago?
Yeah, and I did my last show in Buffalo, and it was. I'm getting too old to do it, man. It hurts.
Yeah, I was gonna say
so when you do this though, I'm assuming they're flipping out. How do you ever get your stuff back?
I don't know. I have a very minimal setup. It's literally just a guitar amp with a microphone plugged into it, turned up all the way, so the microphone feedback is just squealing as high pitch as it can be.
Oh, so you're not really playing the music that you were creating noise. You were just kind of like...
No, there is no music. It is just...
I get what you're saying.
It's just microphone feedback through like the loudest amp I could get through it. And then when it got to the point where people were booking me and stuff, they'd actually mic it and it'd be through the system.
So when did it turn into you were getting booked? And was that because you were getting such a crazy amount of, like a popular amount of people being like, hey man, like this guy's doing all this shit, and then now the promoters are being like, hey, we should probably book him here because we can sell tickets to it?
Around the end of 2012, I remember this dude, Jed, I crashed a show at some venue in Rochester. I'm bad with the names of venues. Contacted me after I was already banned from there. And he was like, I know I freaked out on you the night that you played here and stuff, but I thought it was really funny. And I have this show tonight, and every band is just like biggest douchebags. Could you come fuck it up?
Oh my God. So now you're a hired gun?
Yeah. And so that was like the first taste I got of being really asked to do it.
Yeah. I didn't even think of it from the promoter's aspect where he would ask you to do it just to have a reaction there. Like, yo, did you go to that fucking show? The dude fucking showed up.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. People would always be mad, but there would always be like one person who'd come up like as I was rushing to my car to get away. Who'd be like, thank you. I come here all the time and you just broke up the monotony, something like that.
Because now that I'm thinking about it, it's not like, hey, the show's over. It's everyone is still pissed.
Yeah.
It's mostly probably like just people who are like in these bands, taking them way too seriously, trying to make it.
Yeah.
And then you come on and do that shit, and then...
And I could be shut off within 30 seconds, but their anger would last
everyone's
far.
so mad.
Yeah.
You're like getting the shit kicked out of you, and then you also have to... I didn't even think of that you have to run to your car and speed off.
How dare you? I'm sure some of those Creed cover bands really had a lot of inspirational things they needed to get out in their feelings.
They did.
And you went in there and fucked them up.
I did. Well, like...
Oh, they just wanted their... Or the shitty punk bands that cry about relationships. You threw them off, too.
Like what?
Lots of pop punk shows I do, too.
Oh.
And the metalcore guys with the big ears.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was your... Like, do you have an adrenaline rush when you're driving away? Are you laughing? Like you know what I mean? Like, what's the ride out of the parking lot?
I don't think I've ever been really asked about that. That is a...
Well, I'm trying to find out what the rush is.
There was a whole rush, like you even mentioned before, like the hour drive up, stuff like that. Yeah, honestly, just days before, I just would have anxiety, you know, and then.
But that's what I'm saying is most people would be like, you know, it's like people who probably are nervous for actually playing a show, and they're like, all right, well, the show's coming up, but what you're going to do is so beyond what anyone would do.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this the other day because I did it by myself. You know, I'd go out there and I'd kind of pace around and look people down before I even turned the noise on, and they'd wonder what the hell this guy was doing and stuff. And
would you do it early, or like how would you time it by what you felt? Or were you used to it at some points? You'd go in and be like, I'm going to have a hot dog, and then I'm going to plug in and ruin the show.
It was kind of like if you just walk in and act like you're supposed to be doing it.
Yeah.
That like 99% of the time always worked. Yeah. There was maybe only 2 shows ever
and
where
you do look like if you pick up a guitar case, you would just be, he's in the band.
You look like a guitar tech.
Yeah, totally. Like for Bon Jovi or something.
Anybody. If you've seen any guitar tech, they look exactly like you, and they just walk around stage and randomly pick stuff up and play and be like,
oh, that's cool. No, I've never heard that one. Well, that's probably why it worked.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, they're like, that guy's just the tech. He knows what he's doing. He's plugging the mic into the guitar amp. You know,
they're like, "Wait a minute, who is this?"
Yeah.
So, what was the drive out of there?
Usually, it was like because I mean, obviously, I did it, but yeah, it was scary to do it every time. And then when you get in the car and you get like past the first light, because you always get stopped at a red light when you're trying to get away.
Have you ever had people chase after your car?
Absolutely. And it's when you finally realize you dodge them. Yeah. When you there's this laugh you do to yourself. Yeah. Where and you call yourself dude out loud. You're like, dude, like, fuck, you know.
Who was usually the first person you shared it with?
What do you mean?
Like call your friends and be like, dude, I just fucking did this to the show. Or did you have anyone to talk to about it?
No. I mean, I had friends, but I wouldn't say they were the nicest, supportive friends. I mean, until they really noticed online that people did take it serious and it had a following, I don't think they ever really, you know, it was always, why are you doing this? Like, you try too hard type shit. So
where do we see video of this?
Oh, YouTube, yeah.
What is it? I know, but like...
Do you have like a YouTube channel that you pump stuff out of, or?
I have an account, and I've uploaded some of my video. Other people have uploaded footage, too, and whatnot, yeah.
What do you have to put in YouTube to find it?
Waves Crashing Piano Chords. That's the name of me. Yeah. Yeah.
I wish you would have just used the first band's name.
What's that?
What was your first band's name?
Oh, Forever One's Past? That's terrible.
Hey, if you ever do it again,
we were like 13, 14, dude.
Hey man, we used to take cardboard and cut out guitars, and then we'd make the Wild Stallions logo.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then my neighbor Tony Baciucci, we would both have guitars. Then we would call our parents over, and he had a big back porch, and then we would clear the back porch, and then we'd play like Bon Jovi and pretend to play guitars.
That's fantastic.
I don't think I've ever told anyone that.
That's awesome.
How fucking badass is that, man?
It is.
No,
I was so fucking
not badass at all.
Yeah. I think it's cool, man.
I never did that.
We should have done a split.
Yeah, like I remember we'd just be like leaning back, and I remember my parents are probably like in their 30s, and like probably, just sitting there being like, oh, like, what are they gonna end up like?
My kid's such an asshole. Look at this fucking kid.
My kid sucks.
We could teach him to play real instruments, and he's playing a.
Well, no, that was before, and then I think after that is like the following year, I think we did both get guitars for Christmas. And I remember I took lessons and I quit. And it's one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't ever follow through. Because I see like Randy still takes lessons. And like to be able to play guitar, if I would have kept doing it since 12.
You could get so many chicks to play guitar.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I still have the cardboard one and every
Pretty
now and
much
then
how it works.
I hire prostitutes and then I still perform the same show.
And then they have to like it.
Yeah.
You don't need.
Yeah, you get the guitar,
not,
you play a show, and then you buy some prostitutes.
Yep. And if they don't like it, an old piece of firewood to the back of the head.
Oh, Jesus, please. Settle down.
That's never again radio.
That was an inside joke for
On Main
Cummings.
Street.
The old logger. So you kind of got a rush from doing this, right? I mean, you weren't doing it to try and make money, correct?
No.
So you were getting a rush out of it.
Yeah. It was all pretty much for myself. In 2012,
What a fucking adrenaline rush that must have been.
I released a record in 2012, but I'm a record collector.
Yeah, what did you do, like a 7-inch?
No, it was a 12-inch.
Cool.
Yeah, it was a split with another noise project from Rochester.
And was that like probably like halfway through you doing the noise project, or was it pretty early?
I mean, it started in 2005. It really like didn't become like a priority in life till 2008, and then by 2010 to 2012 is when I was starting to go balls out. Like in 2012, I played over 100 shows in a year.
And by played 100 shows, is this you being booked or you interrupting?
Mostly interrupting. Like I remember I moved to Rochester in 2012, and I did an 8-day stretch where I, went to any show.
Did you set up a tour?
I guess when I think about it,
Yeah.
And I don't know. I moved to Rochester. I moved into this punk house these kids had, and they were putting on shows in the basement and stuff too. And then because this whole scene mentality is always like using each other and shit. So people would book me a little bit, but like beg me not to hit anybody or throw Fago or anything like that, so that they could play at the basement that I lived at and stuff. So I kind of took advantage of everybody trying to take advantage there, and would get on their shows and usually end up ruining those shows before any of the other bands could play, and then everyone would be pissed at me, but they couldn't really express it because they still wanted to play at the punk house I was at and stuff. And I guess that's something that I was always kind of against and whatnot, was all the standing on each other's backs, seem taller type mentality. So when I moved to the city and got into the scene, it was ironic because I was sabotaging everything for everybody, but they needed something I had. So I was kind of playing off that, just to, I don't know, fuck with them because I could see through what they were doing.
Yeah.
And then it only took maybe 4 months before I pretty much had to move home. Everybody in Rochester just fucking like hated my guts. There were a select few. And now that it's like retired, there's people I've run into like, shit, like less than a year ago, I was at the mall in Rochester and into this dude. And last time I saw him, they booked me on a show, and he did this thing where he like introduced me, like, ladies and gentlemen. So I went up to the PA system, and I just opened a bottle of Fago and just dumped it all over that thing over there. And, and the dude got pissed, and they, were throwing punches at me and stuff that I didn't even technically play. And I know that dude hated me, and then I run into him like less than a year ago, and he's like, man, I've told that story so many times. I realized it was just such a good story, and I'm just so honored, And he was all like stoked that he got to see it.
Yeah.
And all it was me just like pouring pop on the thing because I got pissed at him and shit.
Where do you think like that whole like started out? I'm just bored because you're in a small town and like just up with the idea.
I had anger issues. I had a weird, rough childhood and stuff, like molested or anything, just like ostracized by town. I was very
bullied.
Yeah, but like by the teachers, by the town itself and whatnot, so that's a really long story there. But so I was kind of outcasted. I remember, friends turned against me and whatnot and all this crap. And so I don't know, I guess my whole mentality was put a target on my back and not ask anybody to like it. So I kind of went out and asked nobody to like it, And
then when they started liking it, you were more like, well, fuck you.
Yeah, that's a big reason why I stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah, and no offense to anyone listening who likes it, because I really am grateful that it did become something that people own records of and watch videos of.
Yeah, because when you talked about it when we were on the phone, you kind of down talked it, and then getting into the story, it just seems like there's a lot to it.
Well,
but
it's easy to down talk because it's not necessarily something where I know I accomplished more than I ever dreamed to with it.
Yeah.
But does that impress everybody on the street? No, and most people also don't want to hear about anybody's accomplishments too.
I wasn't more concerned about like what got out of it. I was just more wondered like how you even thought about doing it. That's what intrigued me. But what I meant by saying like downplayed it is that like there's a lot to what was going on at that time.
Yeah.
So like it seems like you went through that and then now you're just like, all right, well that was that, and now let's just move on to something else.
Yeah, because around 2014 I got booked in Michigan, and I just remember like everybody was like way into it, you know, like like a room of 100 people just like celebrating that it was happening, and it was awesome. It was like people knew my words. After my set, they all like, you know, raised me.
Did other people like wreck stuff too?
Yeah, like
it was like a mini riot.
Kind of like turned into a dodgeball war with the Faygo and stuff, because I like throw Faygo because I paint my face like ICP.
Awesome.
I'm a juggalo and I throw the Faygo and stuff. So
yeah.
And that there is more or less like when I finally got into the noise scene, because I was doing it years before I actually played a noise show. It was very smug and elitist, and everyone was just very like snobby, and it was just kind of ironic to me that everybody in this scene, not everybody, but from what I was witnessing that those first few times, they're such elitists over literally the stupidest genre of music. And I'm a fan of it and I do it, but it's just the stupidest thing. Like, oh, I make noise. You know, it's like, you definitely, like, I can't call up my mom and be like, hey, Mom, do you know I'm a well-known noise artist? She's not going to be like, oh, that's great, Bob. You know? So it just seemed funny to me. So, and it was kind of hard to piss them off, because it was kind of like they already felt like they were pissing people off. So I kind of played on that. I had the idea for years to call it Juggalo Noise, and I painted my face like ICP, and I started throwing Faygo. And ironically, I don't know if it's ironic or not. I mean, it worked. It upset everybody in the noise scene, and it kind of gave it attention because it just was such an easy target for people to bitch about.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's racist noise, and yeah, this guy, he talks about pedophilia, but did you hear that there's a juggalo into noise? I mean, juggalos listen to rapping clowns. How could they be into something so obscure and cool as noise? You know, I was like, get out of here, juggalo noise guy.
So there's racist noise?
Yeah, I mean, the whole point in noise is more or less to offend. If you think about it, shock value and offend. Like, it hurts your ears. It's
I went to school for audio engineering, so
Yeah.
I probably would not be into noise.
No, I don't believe so.
And,
I'm gonna look into it. I know, like
people wrecking my shit if I ran the show.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to. Other noise artists don't come up and just wreck your shit.
No. That's strange.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know anything about it. It's a new genre. I'm gonna listen to it because I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, technically, you like Yoko Ono and
oh God, no! If it's like that, sign me out.
Lou Reed, you did a whole noise album back then.
Oh yeah,
and whatnot.
okay, I know
yeah.
Lou Reed, but I'm not really heavily into him.
Yeah. So there was like mass-produced noise albums, but they were always like Lou Reed's was they were begging him to make a new album, so he just put out a whole album of like frequencies. Yeah.
I get it.
And that's kind of the whole thing with noise. It is just like a big fuck you.
So did you stop it because it wasn't turning into like really a fuck you anymore because everybody was excited for it?
Yeah, the last like few years when I would go out and play shows, and it was awesome. The first few, it really was. It was awesome. Like everyone knew my words. People were stoked that I punched them. You know, it was not what I ever thought would happen. So since it did, I mean, there's one show in particular where I watched the footage back, and it actually looks like a full band is playing. Like everyone's just reacting as if I'm a full band. You know, there's like a wall of death. There's a circle pit. And it's just like feedback screeching while I'm screaming words and stuff and throwing Faygo and hitting people. But it's one of those things where I'm really glad that happened, but it defeated its purpose.
Yeah.
Because all those people who were there celebrating it got into it because of the videos of people getting upset in the crowd. And it's awesome that they're having a good time, you know, singing the words and beating each other up and trying to beat me up and stuff. But that could only go on for so long before there's more of that than what actually got people into it. And I don't think it's necessarily something that people want to watch the video of me being celebrated as much as they do me failing and breaking my leg, or
Yeah.
you know, punching a guy and then getting knocked out by him and stuff. So, you know, I mean, if I really think about it, the most viewed video of me not getting my leg broken has 8,000 views. The one of me getting my leg broken has 28,000 views. So there's literally a statistic of how many people would rather see me fail as opposed to yeah. So I know what I've been doing. I was very self-aware of my show, and I also started a label in 2013 where I only released 8-track tapes, and that did make me some money. And that's really when I went balls in with the Beavis and Butt-Head collection and just everything. I have an apartment filled with everything.
Wait a minute. I'm so interested.
Yeah.
I'm so interested in how you record even 8 tracks. Like, how did you even get into that? Have you been into recording? Like,
I've been into 8 tracks my whole life.
You don't understand. 8 tracks are actually better than stupid cassettes.
Yes, it has. It's like a reel to reel. Only the format itself was not set up good.
No, but if they would have done that, basically when 8 tracks came out, it's 4 tracks going one way, 4 tracks going the other way.
Exactly, in an endless loop.
You can honestly make a better sounding album if they would have continued, but instead they just said fuck you and they gave us cassette tapes.
Exactly.
And they mashed everything together on one.
But cassette tapes are cool because you could rewind them with a pencil.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'll give them that.
But I'm saying 8 tracks, legitimately, you could do so much more shit with 8 tracks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, isn't that like beta as opposed to VHS?
I guess so, but really they're more or less exactly the same outside of size difference and, you know, a little bit of quality. I would compare 8 tracks more to reel.
Yeah.
Because it's, and the tape inside it is more comparable to reel.
Yes.
What was the name of your label?
Hate Track Stereo, H8.
That's nice. Did you have what was the logo?
Yeah, I never made one.
You need to.
Nah, it's too late, dude. I retired that this year, too.
Make 2 shirts, one for you, one for me.
I probably released over 500 different albums on 8 tracks since 2013.
How did people, was it just people, like, how did you get it out there? Was it just social media? Or?
Yeah, I mean, through people knowing about the Noise Project, and then I created the label, and that gave it some notoriety, and then, you know, I mean, you Google search for someone who's making that. I was the only one who popped up, obviously.
But who records on the 8 tracks?
I would take old one, I would refurbish them, and they'd be even better than they were.
Yeah.
As you were kind of saying. I would make them better than they actually were when they started. And then I would record people's music on them. I recorded.
How do you record on an 8 track?
An old 8-track recorder.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you have to have all the.
How do you get your hands on that? Flea markets?
But I was curious. I wonder if there
you
actually
just got to go out of your way to, pretty much. Yeah.
But I wonder if there actually is a place that still does it.
No.
I think there would have to be somebody who would still.
No. That's trust me.
That's probably why it made a bunch of money.
Yeah.
No one else was doing it.
That's it. And for the most part, I released a lot of the noise community, but then like I released a band from Indonesia. They got a write-up in Rolling Stone magazine, and my label's mentioned, but it's Indonesian Rolling Stone magazine.
Yeah.
You know how everything.
It counts. I'd have that motherfucker mailed and framed.
I was very proud of that. I released a noise artist from Iraq, and I technically can't send him his copies, you know, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that was very interesting because Bandcamp did a big write-up about labels that were very progressive, and they listed mine because I released somebody from Iraq. The irony is that the dude like hates America, and the whole album is like anti-American and stuff. But they just don't do their research, and they're like, this guy's really progressive.
Yeah.
The whole I don't care what I release as long as it's shocking.
But see, that's another thing.
If it's not shocking,
that probably made you laugh so hard when they did that.
Well, exactly.
Because it's more like what you were doing in Noise, where you're like, you dumb fucs. Like,
It's like they're tricked. Yeah. And like I don't have any political views. I don't really care about anything. I just I do it for the lulz.
Yeah, that's crazy. So then you did that for what, a year, 2 years?
The label?
Yeah.
No, 2013 up to the beginning of this year.
And then you decided to stop doing that?
Yeah. I mean, probably because I've run out of stuff that I really want to buy.
Yeah.
Kind of not that I wasn't passionate about doing the label, but it was
we can rewind a little bit because there's where you started the And for anyone who doesn't know, like, you're the world's largest Beavis and Butt-Head collector.
Yeah, I have the world's largest collection.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
like, Kyle told me that. He's like, dude, this guy, he's got the biggest Beavis and Butt-Head collection. And I'm like, all right. And he's like, you got to have him on your fucking show. He's got the craziest fucking stories. And he's just like, he's a really good fucking dude. He's like, he might
Kyle.
look sketchy, but he's a good fucking dude.
Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah. And then I was like, all right. And then sometimes I try and like listen to my friends more the older I'm getting, where like, you know, like, and then because sometimes people throw me ideas for on here and I'm like, whatever. But when it's coming from him, I know what he's into, and he's into searching for things and finding the weird things. And he has a collection, but it is only beta. And like,
It's an awesome collection. I love it.
Dude, I've watched him collect stuff through the years. Like, seeing him collect this is like, all right, well, he stopped doing the comics and the toys, and now he just found this, and he likes hunting stuff down and, you know, getting up early and doing the flea markets and stuff.
Yeah.
I've done it a couple times with him. I get it. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is fun.
So when he told me about you, I was just like, dude, I got to reach out to him.
Well, thank you.
So, like,
it's an honor.
Yeah, man. Well, I think it's cool.
It's
Even like the noise thing, like, that's just fucking insane. But I thought I just wanted to ask you so many questions about it. I could do 2 hours of why you did that. So when you started the label and you started getting the money in, then you were like, oh, like, I should go back to collecting more of my Beavis and Butt-Head stuff. Is it stuff that you wanted when you were a kid and didn't have?
Yeah, because I mean,
like, I feel like I want Power Wheels. Like, that's what I want. I never had that.
I want Micro Machines.
I had a shitload of those.
Cool.
I think they were cool looking.
Yeah, until you fucking stepped on them. Worst fucking thing ever. It was like stepping on the Legos.
pretty much since we got a computer and eBay was pretty much there, I've been keyword searches Beavis, South Park 97, and South Park 98. Like, I think I've just wanted all of it ever since I was a kid.
And like, so, those were massive, like, massive fucking cartoons that like impacted like a huge, like, I remember, like, Beavis and Butt-Head was fucking massive.
Yes. Absolutely.
And then South Park, I feel like, I mean, is that bigger than The Simpsons at this point?
No. Simpsons are still going. That's why it's not.
Yeah, I would say South Park's more respected.
Yes.
At this point, because it's been on for over 20 years, and it's
and
still better than
they don't have a filter, so they put it out. And if somebody says, "Oh, we don't like this," they go, "We don't care."
Yeah,
it just keeps coming out.
When I think of Simpsons, I think the first 10 years are brilliant, and then it just continued.
Yeah,
South Park, I prefer early South Park just because it was. What I liked about early South Park was the initial joke was that what if Peanuts swore?
Yeah.
And it was really that. It was cute. It looked like a nice kid's cartoon, and it was vulgar. And then it would have this nice moral at the end that you almost had to dig deeper to get that than the bad message. And I loved stuff like that in the 90s.
You see that documentary that they did? I forget what it was called.
6 Days to Air,
yeah,
4 Days to Air.
So good.
It's awesome. I love that.
And I didn't realize any of that.
They can bang that stuff out so fast.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's like a madhouse.
Yeah.
Like every fucking episode is like they're running around doing all this shit.
I think that is a big part of the humor, though, because, I mean, think of if we just hung out for a few days just, like, making each other laugh. The thing that made us laugh the hardest on the first day might be stale by day 3.
Yeah.
So it's like we might as well get that episode done by day 3.
And it's got to keep it that it's not boring.
It's
like to do that for 20 years where you would almost have to keep it like go for it to just even feel like, all right, we need to do this, that.
Yeah, exactly.
But I also like that everything that South Park really puts out, like the video games, like they put fucking time into that.
Yeah, I've watched my buddy play them because I suck at new video games. But yeah, they're brilliant.
No, I watched my buddy
just like,
beat it. And
I had one on my phone.
It's not easy.
No, I have one on my phone.
And it's like an episode or a movie even. Yeah. I mean, a lot of it's over my head because it's usually like Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, all this stuff I never got into. So that's the thing with South Park now, too, is that what they are fans of bleeds into the show. And I am not fans of the same things they are, so there will be like Lord of the Rings themed episodes, and I can tell just on the surface that that's what they're doing. But I guarantee majority of the jokes would be a lot funnier if I actually knew the movie and stuff. But in the beginning, it was just 4 little boys who swore. They were best friends, but they weren't nice to each other, and the one died every episode.
Well, the video game
I forgot they did that.
Yeah, that was so clever when it was fresh.
The video game that was on my phone that I was just, because I was bored the one day, and I'm like, I'm taking pictures, fucking weirdo. I was bored, and I was like, you know what? This is like, it was a new game that came out on one thing. I was like, I don't really play games on my phone. But I was like, fuck it, I'll download. It is so fucking hilarious. It's like it's Phone Destroyer.
Okay, I see. I see them
hilarious.
advertise it.
So once you beat the actual game part of it, it's funny because it's free, but you can pay money to like get extra stuff, so you can get different characters and unlock all the stuff. So they want you obviously to buy stuff. So at the very end of the game, it's just like, hey man, let's see how we did, and it brings up like your name and it says how much money you spent. Like in the game, and then like mine, it was like $0. And he looks and just goes, "Well, fuck." See, I told you we should have made this a paid fucking game.
So it's not a paid game,
no,
right? Okay, good. Because they made a whole episode about how these cartoons do that just to exploit their fans.
Like, that's brilliant. Well, fuck.
Yeah.
Like we should have. We're gonna lose our fucking ass on this.
That's hilarious.
But it's a funny fucking game. But that one, it's like the Cowboys versus the Indians, and then it'll be like Alien versus Predator. Like all their characters are like weird. It's pretty fun. Yeah,
that's cool. I like it.
Yeah.
So when you first started getting back into the collection, to rewind back to that, like what were you looking for? Did you just like, hey, you had extra cash, you just went on eBay and you're like, yeah, Beavis and Butt-Head?
Yeah, I mean, at first I was just taking all the money and pretty much like pressing vinyl records and stuff with it, but and then that continued to like profit itself. I wasn't necessarily making money; it was just going into that, and then I started making profit to just. I remember the first time I had like $1,000 spending money, from doing the label. And I was like, damn, like I should really buy something I've always wanted. And I had all the Beavis and Butt VHS tapes that were released in America. But the thing is, in the UK, they got like 15 more. In Australia, they got 8 more. And 2 of them were only rumored to exist. And they all popped up. And I think I spent like $900 to get them shipped from Australia. Like, no, is there even one? I think I'm the only person who has this complete collection. That's how rare those last 2 tapes are. Like, it was just rumored because, it was written in something, in some Australian blockbuster that it was coming, something like that. And then once I finally got those, I think was just like a rabbit hole. Like, all this stuff that I've been just... Because I'd go online, I was never like too much of a social media hog, but I'd always go on eBay and just look at all the stuff that was like in the mall in 1993 at Spencer's for Beavis or South Park 97. Dude, like
that's the thing
stuff.
Too is like
it's like a real time capsule.
When I was saying how massive it was, like there was so much merch out for that shit.
Yeah, I mean, and like the mall was like an hour away from where I lived, so you'd go up to the mall. For school shopping, and it'd be like, oh my God, it's like MTV.
Yep.
And then you go back home, it's the 70s still for some reason. But yeah, like 93 to 96, Spencer's was the
Beavis and Butt-Head.
It was the Beavis and Butt-Head store.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I remember it was
being
posters. It was from
obsessed
front
with
to
it.
back. It was T-shirts, posters, toys,
The
stupid
dolls,
shit you put on your fucking thing, keychains, like anything that they could make in China and ship over here.
And it was amazing for me, because. But then, I wasn't a kid who really got everything I wanted or asked for. Not that I didn't go without, but, we went up to get jeans for school. We're not leaving with that Beavis and Butt-Head figure thing, you know. So for Christmas, I might get, like, the books or something. And, where were we going?
How the collection started, getting big again.
Pretty much that. Once I got those tapes, I just started buying more stuff. And then I think one day I realized, I'm just going to go for a full collection of everything. Like, just want it all.
Yeah, because by that point, if you're halfway, it's got to be like you now have like you have to have a full room for all your stuff. Or
I live in a studio apartment that's, I don't know, how big would you say that room is over there?
I don't know. It's the back room. I don't even know.
Yeah, it's pretty small. I sleep on a recliner. I don't have an oven. I don't have a microwave.
Yeah.
I'm really a minimalist in my lifestyle.
Yeah.
But then I have the world's largest Beavis and Butt-Head collection. So really my apartment functions more as a museum.
Yeah.
For like Beavis and Butt-Head and Critters in South Park. And then, I have a recliner I sleep on in the middle of it.
So have you reached out to say like Mike Judge?
Yeah, I've talked to him.
Have you? And say, Liz, I own like a lot of
shit. Yeah, he follows my Instagram. He, he like said thanks for being a super fan, and we've like chatted real brief and stuff. And he
seems like an okay guy.
He's like super wholesome, humble, and just really nice, and never makes me feel like a jackass for talking to him or anything. And
How did you get hooked up with talking to him? Was it something that somebody sent him?
Yeah, I think so, more or less. The Instagram.
And then he just started following you because you had a...
Yeah, and then I hit him up and, told
Isn't it
him,
weird how you can directly talk to people on there?
Absolutely.
It's not weird. It's cool because it's...
Well, we remember when you couldn't, so yeah, exactly. The world's really connected now to the point where you can, like, not just hope your favorite celebrity gets your email. There's, like, a good chance they will see it, and you'll be able to see that they even seen it. But it's always
cool. It's always cool when like people kind of become real on that. Even if I went to I ate at a sandwich shop that has a shitload of followers in Philly, and I tagged him in a video, and I did a. I
messaged you about that. That shit looked good.
I did like the slow mo of opening it and put
dude.
Ain't no woman like the one I got, and the guy messaged me, and he's like, LOL. He's like, that's hilarious, man. He's like, thanks for coming into the store, and I'm like,
yeah,
you didn't have to do that.
Yeah,
like cool.
That's nice.
Yeah,
but it's good and bad because you get to talk to people like that, but then you also realize that most of the people that you like or that you find out they're really fucking crazy people.
Yeah. Yeah,
like they're like, oh, you're really.
But I guess that's not necessarily bad. That's just like taking down the.
Yeah, you're just. Think about years when we were growing up, you never knew.
No. Yeah, like what if for years you've just been like obsessed with this one actor and like you met him once real quick, shook his hand, and oh my god, and then like one day you add them on Facebook and they're just like
he's a complete
everything they say just annoys you.
That happened to Kevin Smith.
Yeah,
he was a biggest Bruce Willis fan, and then he had him in the movie. I think he did with Tracy Morgan and Bruce Willis, or it was some kind of cop movie.
It sounds like one.
And he said, he said Bruce Willis was just a fucking asshole. He said he didn't read any of his lines, and Kevin Smith would be like, "Hey, why don't we try it this way?" And he'd be like, "Hey, I know what I'm doing, and you hired me to be hired me to be me.
Hey, fuck
so
you,
I'm just
gonna
do me." And then Kevin Smith was like, "Well, I just thought maybe," and he'd be like, "No." And then he said by like shoot day 2 or 3, he was just like, "All right, this is going to be terrible, and let's just plow through this, and it's not going to be a great movie." And they just finished it and put it out.
He's known to be an asshole. Yeah. He was in,
and he said it like broke his heart because he's like, Die Hard, like you know how Kevin Smith is. Like he was just like
he was in Expendables too, and we didn't come back the next time. They made jokes about it, saying like he was impossible to fucking work with.
Well, he's Muddy on the Beavis and Butt-Head movie.
He's what?
Muddy.
What, the one character?
Yeah, the one who wants him to do his wife.
I remember seeing that in the theaters, but I don't remember the movie at all.
No, it's great.
But I remember going to the theater, and I forget, I might have went with Josh and Tony, and I just remember it being, and then that was such a huge thing that a cartoon went to a fucking movie.
Yeah.
That was huge, and then it did well. Well, they were doing like the MTV Music Awards.
Yeah, I remember.
Like,
that's what I loved about them is that they would superimpose them into real life. They didn't treat them like they ever did the Flintstones or anything like that. They Roger Rabbited Beavis and Butt.
Yeah.
They wanted them to feel real, despite in the beginning they were so afraid of how real it came across because they were blaming everything on it and whatnot. But yeah, the movie's great. I mean, when you think about it, those episodes are really like 4 or 5 minutes usually, but they'd be intersected with the music videos.
And that show was born off of them just doing like ripping on late night
wasn't that,
music videos.
That was the Eon Flood, the same thing.
Yeah, Liquid Television.
There you go.
That they had the pilot was the frog baseball where they're just killing the frog with the bat. It's really resonated with people apparently.
What's the most unique thing that you have in your collection that you're like, damn, I can't believe I got it?
Probably the animation cells of Beavis lighting the newspapers on fire at the comedy club that was blamed for the kid burning his trailer down.
And I wanted to get into that because Kyle told me that story, and I think that's pretty crazy how that came full circle with you and Mike Judge.
Yes.
So like on that episode, it was he get into the episode a little bit and how it got banned.
Well, basically, they go to a comedy club thinking that they can become rich, becoming comedians, and Beavis lights newspapers to juggle them, and he burns the comedy club down, and then they just stand outside being like, we're funny, we should be on TV. And that was the episode. And then in Moraine, Ohio, a kid burnt down his trailer home, and the mom said that it's because he was watching that episode, and the 2-year-old sister died in the fire there. And then there was if you
that was like national news, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It was in Moraine, Ohio, in October of '93, I want to say. And I mean, there were quite a few news write-ups going on at that point already, because when the show first came out, it's not how most people remember it. It was really like the bad kids in town.
Yeah.
Who like broke into your house and like to watch your TV and then set it on fire and stuff.
Yeah.
Then it became two like charming imbeciles who like would do dumb things, but they would do bad things, but they didn't even understood that they did it because they were too dumb and naive and almost innocent in their own way. At first they were not innocent. And there's the one where they go to Mexico and, you know, swallow condoms filled with pain pills to get across the border, and they don't tie them, you know, and they huff paint thinner and, you know, glue and all that, you know. So kids were like imitating it, and I believe some of the kids were in some of the news footage, honestly. But the big one was the kid who burnt down his trailer and his little sister died. They got blamed really hard for that. And even in the documentary for the show, you can tell Judge, you know, he doesn't believe it, but you could tell it's kind of like hitting on it, you know, that his cartoon he made might have killed some kid.
Yeah.
You know?
It's definitely got to be something heavy to carry. And even if you don't believe it, there's still those moments before you go to bed where you're like, what if that happened because of me?
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And,
people are people, you know?
Yeah, totally. So I contacted the kid, I don't know, a few years ago.
To come on Critters podcast, or you just wanted to talk to him?
No. This is way before the Critters podcast. I just wanted to talk to him because I was the same age as him when it happened.
How did you even find out his name, or was it Facebook at the time? MySpace? Was it back
Well,
then?
his name's on all the old news things and whatnot.
Yeah.
Austin Messner. I found him on Facebook. I couldn't tell if it was really him. I just messaged it. I swear, man, he replied to me a year to the day. Waited a whole year to the very day to get a hold of me back, and pretty much told me to fuck off and contact his mom because she likes, you know, that kind of shit. He thought it was the news.
Yeah.
And
what did you say when you messaged him? You're like, hey,
yeah,
I'm a collector, and I just kind of want to know what happened.
No,
because it's got to be very awkward for you to even. Because I'm sure you're sitting there and you're like, all right, well, I know what I want out of this, but how the fuck? What's the opener to that conversation?
I can't even really recall. I know I approached it nicely.
Oh, of course. Hey, motherfucker.
Yeah. And then I know when he replied offish, I told him like I'm just a nerd, you know, and I was the same age as you and a big fan of the show. And then he started talking back to me and stuff, and I don't know. I pretty much told him I just want to hear his side of the story and know if he really saw the show. I was just more or less blunt. Yeah. You know? I explained because people still think it was because of the show. A lot of people do. You know, that's how it's documented.
And if anybody who doesn't follow it, or it's just like, you know, the tale they heard, or someone brings it up and be like, yeah, man, that show got canceled or whatever because of the whole fire thing.
And that's how it always will be remembered. I'm not really changing anything. You know,
but that's how most people remember stuff. Is bullshit tragedy.
But I've always cared, and it affected the show. After that happened, they edited out all the fire scenes and reruns. They banned a lot of episodes, you know. A lot of that, you know, me and a few other dudes over the years have gotten like home recordings off eBay and stuff just to get some of those episodes and preserve them because they're not on DVD, you know. So anyway, talking to him and whatnot, I mean, we more or less became friends. I mean, he's a really cool guy. He didn't see the show, and he gave me the answer. You know, they lived in a trailer park in 1993. You couldn't afford cable, you know. Basically, his mom called the news before the fire department when that fire started.
Oof.
She's a crackhead, drug, all that stuff. You know, I didn't go too public with this story until recently because he gave me permission. Mm-hmm. I kept it to myself for quite some time, and he never seen the show. He doesn't want to because of the association. He says he likes MTV. I told him he doesn't need to.
Yeah, it's not MTV anymore.
No one likes MTV.
Yeah. And I've explained some of the episodes.
Shows.
Like I've explained some of the episodes to him because he has like wondered. You know, could you imagine, dude? He emancipated himself at 15. You know, his mom, drug user, constantly saying you killed your sister. I mean, just fucking terrible upbringing and terrible. That mother Darcy, she's just a piece of shit. And he told me after talking to him for a while that talking to me is what made him realize that it wasn't his fault And that was really big for him to say that to me. I couldn't believe that I impacted this story just by never stopping thinking about it, I don't even know what to say about that.
Did you then contact Mike Judge?
I went public with the story like last month on the Instagram because he said he wanted Mike Judge to hear it and stuff. And it was, I got to give closure to the people who actually, because there's a few people from the show actually follow the Instagram now, and now they know the real story.
Yeah, that was.
So then, who has the original copies? Then they didn't destroy them.
I believe they exist, but MTV and Mike Judge say that the masters have been destroyed. But I think it's because they don't want to be remembered for that.
No,
and also those episodes aren't as good as what came later.
No, but still, if I was Mike Judge and I had created something like that, I don't care who, I would have every single thing I've ever done.
I'm sure he does, but for legal reasons.
Not just legal reasons. I agree with him. Like, there's 85 episodes that aren't on the DVD sets and maybe 1,000 music video segments. Yeah. They were such a product of their time. They were watching mid-90s music videos, Do those music video segments hold up for a 12-year-old today who you'd show that show to? They would be like, how come it keeps going to them watching music videos? Yeah. Music videos aren't even on TV anymore. Those early episodes weren't necessarily the greatest thing in the world, but for 1993, it was kind of MTV being like, hey, look what we're doing.
Yeah.
Two white boys who are drawn like humans sniffing paint thinner and then burning a house down, and that is ballsy. You couldn't even really do that today.
God, no.
You couldn't, man.
You couldn't put that on Facebook, let alone on TV.
Absolutely. But after the whole controversy, they edited the old episodes, and then they kind of revamped the show. And that is when you get like your cornholio and what people truly remember it for and what is good writing. Like going to just censorship in general, and like we backpedal to the blaming video games and all that. There's a brilliant Beavis and Butt episode where they are watching Ben Franklin tie a key to a kite to get the electricity on TV. And of course, they're like, we got to try that. So they go out and they get the key, the kite stuck in a tree, and it gets electrocuted and they get hospitalized. And the lady from the media is in there and she's trying to figure out what to blame on TV for this action. And they're like, oh, it was a dude with long hair, and she realizes it's Ben Franklin. But instead she's like, Howard Stern, And then she goes on the news and is like, kids are imitating. They saw music videos with fire and lightning that they thought were cool. And it's just such a brilliant point, because you can't take stuff like video games, violent video games, or anything away, because of course there is always going to be at least two kids who are dumb enough to imitate anything.
Yeah.
And that Ben Franklin tying a key to a kite. And I don't care. I was probably that dumb as a kid too, because I don't look at that when I'm 8 years old and see it as an educational reason. I'm like, whoa, you can do that? We got to do it, And then,
well, you got to think too, look, everything is more out in the open now. So now everything's a problem. It's not a problem. But think about like when Evel Knievel would jump shit.
Yeah, he ruled.
How many fucking kids probably took their bikes like, I'm going to be Evel Knievel, and went out and tried to jump other kids on their fucking bike and got really hurt.
That's right. And The Simpsons did an episode about that in season 2. So
we went to the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair, and our parents bought us like wooden shields and wooden swords that we eventually just beat the shit out of each other with. But we thought the coolest thing was when they would joust. So my parents were inside, and we found these like two big poles that were just in the garage, and we dressed up as knights, and my brother would get from one end of the driveway and I'd get to the other, and we would just drive at each other and just fucking.
That's not dangerous at all.
That's awesome.
And then
awesome.
Until one of us got hurt, my dad would come out and be like, what the fuck are you doing? But like when you're that age, like we weren't picturing someone getting hurt. I was the Black Knight, and I was going to defeat him.
Yeah. No, totally. I mean, and also if you take away kids being impressionable, tragic things can really come of it, of course. But for the most part, aren't those like our favorite stories to talk about in childhood?
Always.
Is when we
It's just
did
kids
something
being creative.
Exactly.
I
using
remember
your brain.
watching the movie The Wraith. You remember that movie?
I don't.
Oh, it's so good. But there's a car, and they race all the time. There's like these gearheads or whatever, and they're like bad in the neighborhoods.
Oh, is that where they lay down on the?
No.
Oh, okay.
The main character dies, and then he comes back as like this alien race car driver.
Oh my God, I saw that.
It's so good.
Yeah, I
and
saw
there's
that.
like the two guys
Sounds
are
pretty
like,
good.
I think Kyle has it. The two of the guys
Probably.
are like, they're like huffing gas and drinking gas and
Sweet.
stuff. They're like huffers. or
Drinking
whatever.
it.
But one by one, he kills all of the other people that were in this gang that essentially killed him because they wanted his girlfriend. Perfect 80s plot.
Interesting.
And what he would do is he'd get ahead of everybody, and once he was ahead, he would turn the car sideways. And I remember my older brother was fucking gonna beat my ass, and I knew he was gonna catch up to me, but I was like, oh, I can just go around the corner and then turn my bike sideways and then he'll run into me. So we go around the side of the house, and I had him beat, and I turned it sideways, and he hit the back of the fucking bike, flew over the handlebars, and I was
awesome.
like, oh my God, it worked, and just rode off. But he was
He was
injured.
probably so hurt. Yeah.
But I didn't care.
Yeah.
I had
There's
four
this,
brothers, and it was you were fighting one of them every other day.
There's this brilliant South Park episode where they're at like the town fair and they have like nunchucks and like the what do you the things you throw
Mace? Oh, throwing stars.
throwing stars and stuff, and the guy won't sell them to him because they're all 8. And he's like, I need your parents' permission, and they all start crying and pretending like their parents died. So out of guilt, he gives them to him. And they're all just like innocently playing and pretending they're doing it. And then the one ends up throwing the ninja star really at it, like it's stuck in Butter's eye. And the rest of the episode, they're just like, oh, we have to hide Butters or else we're gonna get in trouble. They don't even, it's still just trying to avoid getting caught for actually playing with toys and stuff. And I loved how that would capture like the true innocence of being like a bad kid who's not really a bad kid. You just like want to pretend you're bad, and then you actually fuck up.
Was that what was the comedian Brian Regan used to go? It's like we're talking about when you were kids, and he was like, we were out in the back jumping bikes, and he's like, and my brother went and broke his leg, and he's like, I'd have to be the one. I'd have to tell my parents.
Yeah.
And you go in like, hey mom, what's going on? So we're gonna get some juice and stuff, and hey, what's his name? He fell. He's hurt a little bit, but we put some leaves on it and stuff.
Some leaves on it.
And he goes, we just like rubbed some dirt and we wrapped it up and stuff. He'll be okay. But if he isn't okay, like you might need to see a doctor. And like
I remember my mom used to always know. Like I'd come in the house and be like, Roger, and she'd go, oh my God, and just push me out of the way. Or like I'd come in and be like, Richard, just out of the way.
This one dude that came into my job, an old guy, he's like, we used to go down in the banks and let the snowplow bury us. I'm like, oh my God. Like, what if you couldn't
Get
dig
out.
your way out, man?
That's so horrifying.
But it's such a good story.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, we should do that next week.
Yeah.
So many things can go wrong.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So where are you at now with the collection? It's like, I mean, it's got to be fulfilling for you to, put that kid at ease, because essentially you kind of came in as like a therapist and like
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's
and like you came in and then like kind of like when he started talking about it, like it's the same thing you would pay a therapist to do, like and he's probably talked to nobody about that.
I'm not sure. Maybe he's actually gone to therapist, if I would imagine. But there's something about, he said, me being just a big fan of Beavis and Butt-Head and just always wanting to know and stuff. And he said like the fact that you've always been wondering about me, and stuff is kind of comforting. And it's a weird subject to talk about because it makes me feel like I did something wrong, but I know I didn't.
Yeah.
But it's like, I reached out to somebody like this. It was a really vulnerable thing. I could have just as easily been the thing that made him think about it and
he could have
fucked him up
also,
as an adult,
not talk to you anymore. And the fact that it took him a year and then he answered you means that he thought about what he wanted to say and didn't write you off. So,
right.
I mean, I think if it would have been something offensive, he would have just been like, fuck you, and blocked you. You can block anybody.
Exactly, yeah.
So how did it feel them to take that full circle, and then when you kind of like, you put his life at ease, and then you come down and then you do, the guy who wrote the show, created it, who was carrying that. I mean, did you just message him? Did you guys talk on the phone, or was it
No, we're like internet friends.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, when he found out about that, like, did he tell you like that, like, What was his reaction to it?
He didn't give me a reaction or anything. It was posted public. They like the status type thing, you know. It's a tough subject. I can't imagine what he would necessarily get a hold of me and say, like good going, sleuth, you know.
Yeah.
But it's knowing they saw it, I'm sure, you know, it's
I'm sure definitely somebody told him the entire story.
Yeah, and then I got the other dude who wrote on there, Chris, and he's seen it and everything. So I know it's had to have gotten around to the people who were part of the show and whatnot. And it's surreal, 100% surreal. I've been obsessed with Beavis and Butt-Head my whole life. I was picked on for it as a kid. You know, I did my weird thing I did, and now I have the world's largest collection. And then I figured that out. There's a lot of. I'm very grateful. I'm very fortunate. I really had a very fucked up childhood, and I'm 32, and I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. That's another reason I had to stop doing the Noise Project, man, because I'm happy now.
Yeah.
I have everything I ever wanted. Apparently, I didn't want anything that great. You know, it was obtainable, but I did it.
Some things people want.
Yeah.
I'm sure some people look at what I'm doing down here and think it's fucking insane.
Well, yeah, I've had people come to my apartment, and they're not impressed. They feel bad for me. You know,
I'd be like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
They're like, you're a hoarder.
Yeah.
I'm not a hoarder.
Yeah.
No, I grew up with Kyle, who always collected, so I get why people collect stuff, and I collect stuff and do different things. I just do things to a different extent.
But it's not for other people; it's for yourself.
No, absolutely. And I didn't put it online until 2 years ago. You know, because I didn't really think people would care that much. And apparently, you know, I get a lot of messages from people just, I don't know, saying the most positive things to me because they saw my collection, you know, just patted me on the back for being me and stuff. Yeah. It's very nice. It's something I grew up around. I grew up in a small town. You know, small town, no one pats you on the back for shit. No. They want to know the worst things about you.
It's probably a lot better than getting punched in the face for your other project, as opposed to now where people are like, hey, man. Especially with getting older, it's probably, that stuff just hurts so much more.
Yeah.
Your recovery time is 2 weeks, fucking black eye.
Well, 2017 was the last time I remember someone punching me back good. Because the last few years, I was playing more or less to fans.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I put out 15 vinyl records for the thing. The last one's coming out soon. It's going to be a glow-in-the-dark record. That's the last record.
That's cool.
Yeah. I released a discography on a reel, an actual reel-to-reel tape, and that's gone. And I don't know. It's cathartic to talk about it in the past tense. I did it for 15 years, or I don't know. It's 2005 to 2019. I don't know.
Where are you at with the collection now? Because didn't you? Kyle was telling me another story where you recently gave a lot of your collection to another kid.
Yeah, Jackson. He's 9 years old. He might be 10 now. He was 9 when I first started talking to him. He put up a YouTube video of him with his Beavis and Butt-Head collection. And there's this little kid. He's like, this book's called This Book Sucks. And I was just like, oh my God, you know. And I sent the video to my mom, and my mom's initial reaction was like, how'd you find a video of you from when you were a kid? And then she realized that it wasn't me, you know. And so I posted about the kid, and then I got a message from his parents pretty much being like, oh, he already knows who you are, you know, and he's all, you know, he's your biggest fan or whatever, you know, all that stuff. It's talking about stuff like this is hard for me because it's so nice, and I am proud of myself, but it's hard for me to be proud of myself sometimes and whatnot. So, so I sent this kid a box of just all my doubles just to add to his collection.
Yeah.
Man. And the craziest thing is he lives in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is where the show takes place. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
His parents own a record store, and he's got a hell of a good Beavis and Butt-Head collection going. That's for sure.
Yeah, so you just gave him all your doubles.
Yeah.
How much stuff was it?
It was a big box. Yeah. You know? Yeah.
You probably blew that kid's mind.
Yeah, he made a YouTube video opening it and stuff. And it was awesome. It was awesome. I hope to meet them someday. They're all really, kids got awesome parents, really fucking awesome parents. That's I'm never gonna have kids or anything. I'm 32. I know I don't want to have kids or anything. So having that kid like get a hold of me and saying that he looks up to me and, you know, Beavis and Bud connection, all that. He gets a hold of me all the time. He's like, hey, fart knocker, I'm at school. It sucks. You know, it's like, oh man, it's cool. You know, I've never had a brother or anything too. So I haven't met the kid in person, but it's nice to get that little bit of a, like this little kid looks up to you for your Beavis and Butt-Head. It was nice. It was cool, man.
Can you possibly find more Beavis and Butt-Head stuff? Or are you probably at the point where
there's
you have
endless,
like a lot of
there's endless shirts, and I don't give a fuck about owning all of them.
It'd be too much
totally.
to fucking.
I own every shirt from 1993, you know, and that's a good 65 or better, and then I have a bunch of randoms. I am more or less close to being finished. Every once in a while, some item pops up that's like a prototype or like an animation cell of a scene that's like really sweet to own, you know, shit like that.
Yeah.
But as far as the licensed merchandise that exists, there's maybe 2 or 3 items from Japan that I'm waiting every day for them to pop up, you know, stuff like that. And yeah, lately, the past 6 months, it's kind of been a recovery phase because there is nothing left really to get. And I still am in that habit of checking every few hours a day, see if something pops up. And, you know, just you got it all. So it's really kind of a mission accomplished feeling.
Yeah.
Even though I know there's those few items that'll pop up eventually, I've already kind of weaned myself off the mentality of like, it's done, man. You know, like,
yeah.
Well, yeah. So it's kind of, I mean, there's a documentary crew that came out. They're doing like a film about it.
Were they local or?
No, they're from New York City.
Cool.
And they're going to come back out again and get more footage. It's been a slow process, but they came out for like a weekend.
Are they doing it just on you?
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
Cool. That's all. What do they plan on doing with it?
I don't know. Yeah. It's they came out. I didn't think it was going to be a big deal, and then they pull up in like a fucking Mercedes thing, and they got drones flying all over the town and stuff. And I'm like,
you're like, what?
Yeah. And I don't drink, and I like got a bottle of Captain Morgan. They're interviewing me, and I'm like the dude interviewing me, he's become my friend now, honestly. I'm like grabbing his leg hair, and I'm like, you're so hairy. I'm like just fucking up. Totally out of my comfort zone, dude,
yeah.
You know? It's like bringing in all this professional lighting, but into my apartment, which I said is like the size of that room over there, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's all these full circle things coming, you know, being ostracized as a kid for who I was, and now I'm being like celebrated for it as an adult.
It's got to feel good to come full circle where you kind of got shit on for how you wanted to feel, and then a lot of times when that happens to kids, they bury that shit and then they change because of it, and then when they're older, they're either miserable or they're an asshole or they're super depressed or it's just stuff.
Not to say I wasn't.
I'm not saying you're not. I am. What I'm saying is it's got to feel good.
It does.
To get back to what you wanted to do or wanted to feel like as a kid, and then have it feel good, and then to be able to touch the lives of somebody who probably felt worse than all of us about being blamed and his sister dying and all that, and then for you to be able to change that kid's life, and then get reached out to the guy who made the show, like that's got to feel. Yeah, and really fucking good.
And I've had people contact me about the Noise Project, you know, just telling them it gave them like, you know, the confidence to come out of the closet and stuff like that. And which on the surface, it's like the Juggalo Noise thing did that. Even I can laugh at myself, but I have had people get a hold of me and just tell me that what I did just made their lives more positive somehow. And it's
yeah, that's why I wanted to bring you on the show.
It's incredibly.
Well, like when we were talking on the phone,
he's like, "I'm helping people."
That's what I want. Just the way you put that. That was like Norm Macdonald delivery right there. Thanks for explaining why I have you on.
Like when we were on the phone and you didn't like really know what I was doing, and then I was like, "Hey, man, like I really want to tell the story about you talking to that kid," and you were like. Yeah. Oh, like you want to point out positive things because you said you were on another podcast and they were just the guy was an asshole.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah. They just kind of. Well, I mean,
fuck
and
that
it's
guy. Let's shit on that guy. Who's that? No,
don't
He's
even.
always happy to shit on
him. Love to shit on people.
No, that just promotes people. Trust me, I've learned not to shit on people. You just promote them.
Just promote
I know. That's why I always tell him not to.
Never let anyone know you hate them.
Fuck those people.
He likes to wear that badge loud and proud.
I can't tell you how many.
I get what you're saying.
How many people have tried starting beefs with me and hopes that they'll be noticed
Yeah.
as an artist, you
Yeah.
know, and stuff. And I just be like, what's the brand name? I haven't heard of them. That hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts a lot harder.
But yeah, when we had that discussion and you were just like, oh, like that's cool, like I'm really down for that. And then like,
Yeah.
I wanted to get in a little bit deeper on how that was to talk to that kid and change his life, and then like to hear the stuff about how you gave all of your doubles to that kid. Like some
Yeah.
people don't do shit like that, man.
They should.
No shit, they should. But people don't.
Well, I don't know. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah, man. What are your plans like down the road? I mean, it's kind of just seems like this is a monster growing on its own.
Yeah, something like that, dude. Because this is the first summer I haven't done waves, you know.
Yeah.
So I've been coming out here to the drive-in a lot. I've just been making plans to do stuff because I've never been a person to go out and do things, but when it came to doing that noise project, I was so dedicated to it, I would go anywhere.
And that
it
probably
took
changed
me.
you now where you get into something and you're like, hey, you know what? Like, I drove all around the country going to shows I wasn't booked at. Going to the movie theater an hour away ain't that bad.
And what's nice
I
about
won't
it,
get
too,
punched.
is, there's no anxiety. It's
Yeah.
like there's none of this feeling of like, oh, boy, I'm on in 2 acts. Especially once I started getting booked, that was weird, too, because everyone knows you're going to come out and punch them. And that's a fucking weird feeling, dude. So that I'm glad it's over. And when I think about it in that way, I'm like, oh man, I'm so glad I'm never fucking doing that
doing
again.
that obviously changed you. Like,
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
when you face anxiety and when you face all these crazy things, and you don't even know if it's things that you're afraid of or whatnot, but when you face that shit, like it changes you. It changes you
Absolutely.
to a point where sometimes you sit back and you're like, oh well, I wouldn't be doing this shit unless I went and
there's-
crashed all those shows, because that kind of took away the fear of maybe going through anxiety or being in public or dealing with people or being judged by people.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, when anything comes up now that I'm more or less afraid to do, I can just remind myself that I did that stupid show
Man.
for no reason.
Yeah.
Just to do it, and I did that every time. So yeah, it's definitely changed me. I'm a different person, and also it's changed me to the point where I'm not the person who can even do that show anymore. I'm not angry enough. If you watch my last show in Buffalo, which people like flew out for, like a lot of people came pretty far out for and stuff. It was insane.
That's nuts.
This one couple drove like 10 hours and celebrated their anniversary by coming to it. I am not my meanest at that show. Because when I would play even when I knew it was fans there and stuff, I would tell myself right before I played that they would rather see me fail at the end of the day. And that would kind of give me that mojo, I guess, to go out and just assault them. But there's... but at the last one, people were so there to see it, and so... It was such a... Like, the people that played before me, all the acts, like, dedicated their sets to me when I was just so nice. I was so grateful. I know I smacked people around and stuff, but I definitely wasn't trying to break anyone's nose at that one.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, it's almost not that good of a show because of it. But it is what it is, you know. My last one that I consider was in Detroit in 2017. And I just announced I was done after that because that was, like I said, the circle pit. Everything happened there. It was just like, wow, what more can you do from here? And then the dude more or less asked me really nicely if I would do a last show, an announced one, because his venue was shutting down, and it was a basement venue there.
Yeah.
He put tarps up and everything for the Fago and everything. And yeah. So it was, where am I going?
No, you were just kind of rounding up
Yeah.
where you're at with...
Yeah, I mean, now
The
I'm just
collection
kind of like in a retirement phase from all that. I've accomplished more than I ever thought I could, maybe wanted to.
Yeah.
It's a weird feeling at 32 to have done everything you dreamed of doing from a kid, let alone to a teenager. And now I just kind of want to go to the drive-in and watch movies that I love.
Yeah.
And just kind of chill out. And I work at a pharmacy, I have a normal job, obviously. I could keep doing the label, but the passion kind of weaned. And I think as I finally owned everything from Beavis and Butt-Head, probably putting in so much energy to afford that stuff, once you don't need any more of the stuff, you don't work as hard to get the money for it. You know? Yeah.
And one of the main reasons I wanted to have you on was that, like when Kyle told me about you, I was just like, man, all this stuff. And then hearing about all this, like, it's so interesting to me to see where this is going to go next, because like, you weren't planning on being the world's largest Beavis and Butt-Head collector. You weren't planning on doing the noise. Like, you planned on doing the noise thing, but then you blew up from it. You didn't plan on starting the 8-track label.
Yeah.
And then you did that, which then eventually got you to the Beavis and Butt-Head stuff. And then you changed all these people's lives. So it's like, I'm excited to see what you're going to do next, because it seems like you're just taking energy and dumping it in different directions, which is exactly what I do.
I don't know if the thing that seems to be coming up next, I don't know if I'm necessarily supposed to announce it, but yeah, I won't. But my buddy,
how dare you?
my buddy has a store online. You know, he releases like pins for Megadeth and, you know, King of the Hill. He gets the licensing rights and he puts out these amazing products for it. If he gets the licensing rights to Beavis and Butt-Head, which it seems like it's very likely it's going to happen. We've been waiting like a good year because Viacom sucks. I'm going to be actually designing licensed Beavis and Butt-Head merchandise.
That's crazy.
So if that happens, which is like, that's like a dream come true that I never could have dreamed of happening. That's just so.
And then
big.
That's something that you would walk away from the pharmacy, correct?
And no, I won't be making any money.
Oh, you're just gonna be able to design it?
Dude, if I can just, I own everything made for Beavis and Butt-Head, and now I can actually design stuff that I wish existed.
Yeah.
That's like full circle right there. I don't care about money.
Yeah.
Like, and no, it doesn't. This dude, I mean, he's buying the licensing rights. That's all his. He's more or less, you're the guy who owns everything. You know what should exist. Will you help me? And I'm like, yeah, I'd be honored to, just to say that I'm doing it, of course.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
It's so crazy how you took these things and then just built them up, and then it just seemed natural that they built up, and then
now that it's happened,
you keep affecting all these people, and it's in a positive fashion, and now it's to the point where you're going to start creating what you were obsessed with in your childhood. That's nuts, man.
It is.
You do
nuts.
have to realize that doesn't happen to a lot of people.
I'm very fortunate. I am. There's days now where if I get like bummed, you know, just naturally as humans we get bummed. I kind of sit there
every day.
I'll sit there and I'll be like, dude, you can't be bummed. Like you're so fortunate. You know. But then I have to remind myself that sometimes we just feel ways we feel for no reason. You know?
Of course.
It doesn't necessarily mean that something wrong is happening. But yeah, I'm very grateful. And for how fucked up of a child that I had to be here, it is very like, makes you want to like look at my past and be like, ha ha ha, you know, type deal, you know. And
but it's also important to tell the story, because there's kids or anybody who's listening to the show or anybody who's watching any of your shit that probably has just been in a similar shitty growing up situation, and motivates them.
Like, be yourself, like, no matter what, because someday people might actually fucking celebrate you for it, and there's definitely something to that. And I can't even, you know, there's actually people listening to this and watching this up to this point that, you know, really care about all the stuff I've done and stuff. And
of course,
I really do appreciate those people so much. I mean, Ben and, where the hell are you, Ben? Kansas or some shit. He's got my face tattooed on him right here. You know, like, it's
that's cool.
It's just fucked up, dude. You know, I showed my dad the picture of me with him, and he has my face tattooed on him, and my dad just goes, "What the hell?" It was the best reaction. You know, it's like, Dad, look, someone got my face tattooed on because of that noise thing. You know. That was crazy, man.
That's awesome, man. You've accomplished a lot.
Somehow.
I definitely wanted to have you on the show to highlight your story. You're more than welcome to come on here anytime you're in the area.
Yeah, cool.
I'd like to do something with VHS Fest next year. And now with having time and having the video and figuring out a little bit more, I definitely want to do something with Kyle and the VHS Fest. So we should definitely work on some projects. But I think it's great that they're filming you and doing stuff. You have a very positive attitude, especially for somebody who came from a fucked up childhood.
Yeah.
And
well, thanks, man.
people picking on you and shit like that. And that shit hangs with you over life.
It does.
And I think you're found the correct way of channeling it to get that shit out of you.
Well,
and now you're doing it in a positive fashion and affecting people's lives and like helping kids out and stuff. And like, I knew once Kyle gave you the stamp of approval, all of that stuff was there. I just had to interview you and get it out of you.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
It was really cool getting to know you, and I just want to plug all of your social media so that anyone that doesn't know you can go find your stuff out.
The Instagram, Beavis, letter N, Butt-Head Collector. And then Waves Crashing Piano Chords. You type that into Google, you're going to find something.
Do you still have a band camp for your original band? What was that one?
No, that's
Lost Souls and
for everyone's windmills. No, it doesn't even exist. I mean, Shuddering Windmills. Shuddering Windmill.
That's a good name for a fucking.
Honestly, I'm surprised it doesn't exist. Sure I can hear what they sound like.
If you go on Never Again Radio, or no, it's Never Again Studio on YouTube, you can find the video version of this, which you're watching now, so I don't know why I told you. But you can also go on Never Again Studio on Instagram. And we're on every platform. We're on every platform now. So Spotify, iHeartRadio, any of that shit.
I don't know what any of that shit is.
You can find it all with looking in Never Again Radio.
You guys on 8-track?
We can put this on 8-track. You want to do it?
I can.
Let's do it.
Make it perfect. Yeah. It sounds so mocking too. Oh, that's from the 1993 little box thingy. All right, I just proved how big of a nerd I am.
All right, man. Yes, you're. I'm gonna I want to start listening. Like, what's cool about this too now is like I'll dive into noise, and then I want to watch the Beavis and Butt-Head movie now because I forgot how much stuff was on.
It holds up,
but I don't want to hold you up because of the parking ticket, and you're going to blood camp. So thank you for coming.
Camp Blood.
Yeah. Blood camp blood just sounds like somebody's got their period.
Yeah. Doesn't let that thing like chicks do?